One of the wonderful attributes of the BODITRAK pressure mat is that it's not just for the better player. In fact, it's very beneficial for the beginner as well as the beginner intermediate level player. It gives both the student and the instructor the opportunity to see what the golfer feels is a weight shift in the golf swing. So what I'm going to show you is how the pressure mat has really helped out one of my students. This is a student of mine, Mr. Sun. He is a beginner, and this is his third lesson with me. In fact, this is his third golf lesson ever. And to his credit, in a very short amount of time, he is actually developing a very nice golf swing. Now, I've spoken to him in the past about the shift in the golf swing, and so I've put him here on the BODITRAK pressure mat, and this is giving me a chance to see how he's taking my golf instruction and translating it into action. It's also allowing him to see what he's doing. Over here on the mat is a computer monitor, and I've set the video feed to be a left-handed golfer. This way he's looking at himself as if he's looking in the mirror. The graphics of the BODITRAK mat beneath that are standard, so right side is the right foot, left side is the left foot. Now we can run this on the live feed so he can see what he's doing, or I can tape this and run it back for him. Now when you look at the trace there, you can see that there is some shift to the rear foot, to the right foot, and it goes towards the toes. So as he takes it back, there we see it in red, and as he goes to the top there, so that's his max shift right there, 72%. And in looking at 5 or 6 swings that I taped as well, that's about what he's been showing, 71 to 75% in the 5-6 swings that I have on file. Now he gets to the top there, and you can see it's not very smooth. There's some back and forth going on here as he's coming through impact. And what that's showing me is that he's displaying characteristics that we see in a lot of beginners, beginner intermediate level golfers, and that is they try to help the ball up in the air. Now if I bring this back here to the top, we can see he's 62% on his rear foot, and we can also see this purplish area right here. That area there is the pressure that he's putting into the mat through his front foot, his left foot, and as he pushes more, it'll get darker and darker. Now what happens here is as he's going forward there, what we can see is that he's putting his entire front foot on the ground, and we can also see in the video that his knees are flexing here. Now what he's actually doing is preparing to push off of the ground. So we see his knees flexed. Notice again how it's turning white. And we can see his legs are straightening. So what he's doing is he's pushing off of the ground. Why? You see how it gets lighter and smaller? He's pushing off of the ground so that he can create loft and help the ball up in the air. So here he is basically at impact or through impact, and we can see 66% on his rear foot and leaning back. So those two factors, trying to help the ball up in the air. Notice how the foot is now landing on the ground, getting darker on the rear side, and finishing. Now what's interesting about this is you see that jaggedness going back and forth. See the COP trace going back and forth. What that's demonstrating to me is that, and Mr. Sun admits this, he feels that the finish is supposed to be 50-50. So what he's doing is just trying to figure out what 50-50 is. So you see that back and forth there. Again, to the top, and then here, and trying to find 50-50 as he's finishing his swing. So the BODITRAK pressure mat has really given me a good idea of what Mr. Sun is trying to accomplish in his golf swing in terms of a shift, and he as well is seeing what he's doing. In turn, this has given me a good idea of what kind of drill I need to provide for him to help him improve. So here is the drill that I gave to Mr. Sun, and it's a very simple step back, step through drill. It's nothing original. I'm sure a lot of us have given it to our students in the past, and you're going to see here feet together, steps to the right, and steps through. And when I run this at half speed, we're going to see here that as he takes the step to the rear, it's a nice smooth COP trace to the right there. He gets 100% on the rear foot, obviously because he's standing on one foot right now. And as he transitions through, a nice clear step forward. Again, a nice smooth COP trace there. And as he comes through the ball, 100% on his front side into the finish. Now, the interesting thing about Mr. Sun is I asked him what sports he's played in the past, and he actually didn't play any. He's never played baseball, yet he understands the sense of stepping through the ball, just like a baseball player would step into the pitch. So he has a better sense of a weight shift through that drill, and he is watching the COP trace on the screen as he's doing it. Well, the next step with Mr. Sun was taking that drill, what he practiced in the drill, and getting him to start to feel like he's copying the same motion in his golf swing. So really what he's doing here is just trying to integrate the drill into his full swing. Now I know he's got a huge move off the ball, or where the ball would be in his practice swing. I'm not too concerned about that. It's more important for him to feel the shift. So here he is at half speed again, and we can see that as he takes the backswing, a smoother COP trace to the right. And again, it's very high, obviously because he's moving his upper body with the backswing. Nice smooth transition to the left. Through impact, over 90%. And to a nice finish at the end of the swing. So from the step-step drill, I've asked him to take practice swings like that. And again, he's observing himself on the screen, on the monitor, as he's doing it. Finally, after taking several practice swings and getting a good sense of what that feels like, here he is trying to hit golf balls, doing the same thing. And you can obviously see that the trace is very different than before. So again, there's a lot of head movement to the rear. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not concerned about that. I just want him to get a feel for that trace and that shift. We can always get him a little bit more centered, a little less lateral movement later on. Much smoother there. Much smoother there. To the finish. So not only at impact, he's in a better position, or through impact, but at the finish, much better. When we look at the two swings side by side, the before swing on the right and the after swing on the left, we can see the dramatic differences and improvements that Mr. Sun has made in his swing. Now, when we see them run, already we can see from the start a much smoother COP trace in the after swing, a bigger shift in fact. And I think when we see this here where he's halfway back in both swings, in the before swing we can see he's moving to his toes, or his rear foot toe, whereas in the after swing he's moving to his entire right side. As he gets to the top there, obviously the numbers are different. A much smoother transition to the front side, much more dramatic. And what we can see here is that instead of the before swing where he was trying to help the ball up in the air, we can see in the after swing he's now starting to understand what it's like to swing through the ball to the finish. When we look at the comparisons, impact, the numbers are very, very stark in the differences. So in the before swing, 34% on his front, 66 on the rear. In the after swing, definitely huge difference for the better. We see the finish, we can see it there as well. Now the interesting thing to point out is this was only a half-hour lesson. And within that short amount of time, we can see Mr. Sun, with very little direction from me, was able to figure these things out simply by seeing what his COP trace was like on the BODITRAK pressure mat. So as I said at the beginning, the pressure mat is not just for the better player, it is definitely very beneficial for the beginner as well.